Planes high in the sky, cars rushing by, a barn, gardens, and apartments. Well, we are here at the Red Barn, a place for Ozark living, to learn about agrihoods.
Hello, I'm Melissa Millsap as the operations farmer here at Red Barn Farm.
I think my very first question has to be, what is an agrihood?
That's a very good question. Everybody wants to know that. An agrihood, generally speaking, is just a neighborhood or a community that is focused around agriculture. So you're going to find so many different models of that. But this model in particularly is more of an urban setting.
Well, you talk about an urban setting. We are just 1 mile from downtown Bentonville, Arkansas. So what makes this area, this region, perfect for this type of community life centered around farming and agriculture?
There is no other apartment complex in town that has as much green space as we do here at Red Barn. And so this is a beautiful example of what the Ozarks really is.
So just 2 years ago, this was an empty field. This was a farm, and this is actually the original Red Barn, hence the name of this agrihood. So you came from Springfield to help build it from the ground up. Were you familiar with this type of concept and urban farming before?
Absolutely. So I have had my eyes and interest on agrihoods for years. It's not a new concept. Matter of fact, it's an extremely old concept.
Really?
How people would actually come together. They would get property, they would create their homes, and then they would generally have somebody within that community that was good at growing food, and they would support that person while that person grew the food for the community.
Well, we're going to go see the farm here in a minute, but before, I want to learn more about these residents. You know, they're coming and they're participating in this type of community life. What are the amenities that draw them in, and what kind of demographic are we looking at?
Yeah, so you know, when we first got down here, I had no idea what to expect. And it has been such a pleasure to see across the board. I mean, we've got really young families that are just getting started. We've got empty nesters. We've got people that are retiring and have decided, you know, I don't need a big house, but I'm not ready for a retirement community. This is perfect, you know, and even some really young professionals that are just getting on their feet. And so it's really, in terms of nourishing and creating a community, it's been a blessing to have so many different people from different walks of life. So that feels like a true community to me. And then as far as their participation, we really just leave it up to them. We make it available, we keep them interested, we keep you know, everything that we're growing and doing on the farm, they can come out, they can see what we're doing, they can participate as much or as little as they want.
But they also get first dibs on the produce?
They do get first dibs. Yeah, we've got a 24-hour farm stand here for the residents. So, you know, if they're getting up at 4 in the morning and are out of eggs, they can just walk down the street and get their eggs.
And are you seeing, I know I am, a growth in consumers wanting to know more about their food.
Yeah.
So are you seeing this concept to be more widely popular? Are you going to see this growth in this method? People that just have this appreciation for where their food comes from and they want to be able to experience too?
I think so. I mean, over the last couple of decades, I think we've been seeing more and more people just naturally want to reconnect with where their food comes from and the faces that actually produce their food. But I think even more than that, a lot of people want to live in the city. They don't want to live in the suburbs or in the country. They want to be able to jump on their bike and go and spend time downtown and eat out and, you know, live that life, but they still want to have a connection. So I think that's really where urban farming is a piece of the puzzle, you know, and so that allows us to have small farms scattered in cities where people can literally ride their bike over and experience what farming is or could be. So.
So you started with a 12-acre blank slate and got to be creative and develop this farming concept, but keeping in mind that apartments were going to be your back door.
For sure, yeah. So it was definitely a blank slate when they started with the concept of the Agrihood. And they had a landscape architect as well in the beginning that was like, you know, we should do some berries or something here, and maybe we should do this here, and then maybe we'll do more production in this area.
Which is great, but you came in with the farming expertise.
Right, and so
does that make sense?
Yeah, so then we were able to be like, okay, landscape architect, that does make a lot of sense, but let us do the nitty gritty, you know? So it was a lot of fun to be able to come in, and we've just learned so much being able to work with a development, you know, and learning all of that. So yeah, we decided to get started with our perennials. We knew we needed to get our fruit trees going. We needed to get our berries going. We knew we needed to establish our grazing area. We needed to get our well dug, you know, and so this is really the first year where we're getting all of our fruit into production.
And I see some blueberries.
Yes, you do. You can pick a couple of those really dark blue ones. They're just now coming on, so.
And I can eat it?
You can eat it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This farm is a fully fledged business. So take me through how that structure works.
Yeah, so Red Barn Farm is set up as its own entity, an LLC. So it is a for-profit farm. And that was really important to my husband and I when we were kind of designing this farm in particular, because we feel it's really important. Like, we're not really into token farms.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we
it
really
needs
feel
to
it's
be
important to
pay its own bills.
Yeah, to be able to support the jobs and be a part of the community. And so we fully grow food and sell food.
And you have employees that are working full-time here.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got 5 full-time employees right now.
Okay, so let's see what the employees are up to, the farmers are up to today, and take me on a tour of the farm.
All right, sounds good.
As I look across the field, I see that you're growing a little of everything.
Yeah.
What do I see now? What's going into production right now?
Yeah, so basically this is a good time of year where our spring crops are finishing up and getting ready to come out. So our spring crops are going to be like our cabbages, our broccoli, some of our greens, certain varieties of lettuce, our green onions.
So we know in the Ozarks that we don't have a lot of topsoil, but this looks like pretty dark, good organic matter. So what growing medium are you using to get this type of production?
Yeah. So really here, you know, this field, we're on a hilltop. And this field was really overgrazed with cattle before we came on. And it's rock and clay. I mean, you know where we are. So all of that combined made for planting vegetables that require very nutritious soil a little taxing. But in all of our urban farming history, we're used to that. So you have to have a lot of patience. And in the first couple of years, you have to bring in a lot of compost and soils.
So I think the only thing that we've not seen on the farm yet is the chickens that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And the apartments are behind us, and soon the chickens will go over there.
Yep.
But this is their home
for now.
For now.
Yeah.
So how many chickens are you raising?
So we've got around 160 right now.
Okay. You can really tell that the chickens are used to this environment, because although we can hear them, they're very calm.
Yeah.
And they're thriving. And this is what you call a chicken tractor.
This is,
right?
Yeah. So we've got this electric fence that we have as a paddock, and we just move it up and down the field. So these girls get new grass twice a week. They're awfully happy. They've started laying. We've got 7 different varieties. We've got all of our eggs in here, so they go inside their roost boxes. And they just lay their eggs. They roll out here, so we get really clean eggs. You don't even have to wash them.
Well, as we, really taken in every aspect of this Agrihood.
Yeah.
And you talked about different phases of the building. So what's the next phase of the farm aspect?
Yeah, so we're there's still a few things we want to add. We want to bring in our apiary, and we want to get some mushrooms growing in the woods, and then more of a composting and organized composting system going over there. But you know, we're basically in like phase 2 of 3 on the farm right now. So that'll all probably come this fall as soon as the wash and pack shed is complete.